In this presentation, I'll talk about a concept found mostly in environmental economics known as tragedy of the commons. Tragedy of the commons is an economic problem where each individual uses a resource at the expense of others, without restricting anyone from using the resource. It is basically an open resource. The idea behind tragedy of the commons originates from a hypothetical example where you have a field and shepherds come to feed their flocks on that field. Now, those sheep are going to graze on that piece of land, acting in their own self-interest, grazing. But then what can happen if more and more flocks keep on grazing on that piece of land? What can happen is that that land can end up getting depleted because of overgrazing. Now, this idea also applies to the real world. As population increases, there are more and more households, firms, and just individual consumers who are consuming the same piece of environmental resource. Now, usually we human beings act in our own self-interest to benefit ourselves. But then if we continue using the same resource, benefiting ourselves, it can end up being done at the expense of others. And as a result, the resource may end up getting depleted because of overconsumption. So to prevent this, there are a lot of environmental policies. Now, the three common ways in which tragedy of the commons can be prevented is the first one, by using property rights. Certain individuals can be given rights to own a certain piece of land or a certain piece of resource. And also, it can also be prevented by regulation, regulating the use of a certain resource, maybe being given permits on when to use it, how to use it, and also by internalizing an externality. An externality is simply a consequence or a side effect after using a certain resource. Now, by internalizing an externality, we mean that a person has to pay for the consequences that come out of using a certain resource. So this was just my short presentation on tragedy of the commons. Thank you very much for watching.